Yeah. We get lit, we get fly, we talk stuff, we get high. But to the masses, we just a podcast called Verified. I am your host. I am JopauL, and we are here with Mansoor Ashkar. And what's wrong with my screen? What? Why is it flashing red? Do you see that? It's like alert. Potential threat to Instagram. Sees communicate. Whoa. This is your boy. I am JopauL. This is the Verified Podcast. And the reason why we're doing that is because my friend here, who is the sweetest man who only talks about truth and peace, got an alert saying that his account is potentially up for suspension and he could get banned. And it's not even being shown to his regular followers. So, Instagram, what the hell are you doing to my guy? I don't understand what we're dealing with in this day and age, but I want to bring you in and I want to jump right into it because when I saw that message, that you put out the other day, by Instagram trying to silence people, it kind of hit close to home because I felt so much of this because there've been times that I've tried to post. Instagram doesn't let me. I see Melissa Chapman, who's a dear friend of mine, her account is suspended and banned. And it's like, I feel like it's part of a sinister plot to silence us, which is very, very weird because if the opposition side is talking so much nonsense about how we're liars and we're propagandists and we're this and we're that, why are they trying so hard to silence us then? If it's just bullshit and all propaganda, why are they trying to silence us? So, without further ado, Mansoor, welcome to the Verified Podcast. How are you?
I am well, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to finally speak to you in person. I've been following your content and the things that you're saying bravely, sometimes even shockingly, how awesome that dude. He just speaks about whatever he have in his mind, doesn't hold back. I guess that's something that comes from the hip hop community that you came from.
Yeah, just a little bit. That New York, swagger, that hip hop, upbringing.
Yeah. So here's what shocks me the most, and thank you for giving that introduction. If anyone should be silenced, and there's so many probably voices in the world that you should kind of moderate because they're just lunatics. But when you have someone who's an Arab, finally you have Arabs who are brave enough to come and say, we don't hate the Jews. We don't want to genocide the Jews. We want to live alongside, giving real life example of coexistence. My mother is living in a Jewish city as an Arab woman. How did I have all my friends, Christians, Arabs, Muslims, trying to promote that? And then waking up one morning and seeing that your account is going to be blocked from non-followers, they can see you. Your own followers would not even see your videos. That's like overkill. That's like not anymore just, let's silence him, let's overkill him. We're gonna remove content. And I looked at the content that they removed. It was literally me filming my mom, who's a religious Arab woman, entering a taxi, and the taxi driver was Jewish, and it was unfiltered. It was just literally a live conversation where I asked the taxi driver, what does he think about my mother, about the Druze, about the Arabs? And he gave such a beautiful answer about coexistence, that we love them and we want to live together. That video was considered supporting terrorism. And other videos where I'm sitting with my mom in the kitchen and we're rolling vine leaves, and my mom explains, why is Israel not an apartheid? And how are the Jews truly treating Arabs in Israel? My mom, from her life experience as someone who grew up in this land, someone whose ancestors were there when the Jews came back finally to their land, and they accepted them with open arms and said, you know what, let's shake our hand in peace and let's build this country together. Arabs and Jews, Druze and Jews. And that content
I love that, Druze and Jews.
Yeah, Druze and Jews are the greatest example of coexistence. Literally, you cannot argue. The Druze were in the land of Israel when the Jews came back. Now, the Jews and the Muslims, and there were Jews already living in this land, and Christians. The Jews came and offered a hand for peace. Say, you know what, guys, we will share this land with you. The British came and said, share it. We're willing to share it. We just want to have a piece of land where we can live peacefully. Will you share that with us? And the Druze came and said, yes, let's do that. As long as you respect us, we respect you, we can build this country together. The Muslims had the same opportunity like the Druze. And what did they choose? They said, we're going to genocide the Jews. We're not going to share them. And they tried from the river to the sea. And since then, it's the same old story, trying to genocide them again and again. And when they can't succeed, they come and pull the victim card. Oh, I'm the victim. I can't genocide them. Feel bad at me. They're the bad guys. So that's just to summarize it. But anyway, back to Instagram. What shocks me the most also, not only like that I just woke up out of nowhere, I'm about to be completely erased from social media for being an Arab advocating for peace and coexistence.
Yep, you're terrible.
Yeah, terrible human being. And videos that, the reasoning were videos from like half a year ago, 3 months ago, now out of a sudden. And then came what I thought that was very suspicious. I looked at other friends, Melissa Chapman, Doron, who have his own podcast, and other pro-Israel content, not only big accounts, also very small accounts.
Small accounts too.
they were all getting the same message at the same time, the same warning. We're blocking you, we're blocking you, we're blocking you. People that are standing with Israel, Jews, Arabs, Christians. Then I came and I said, you know what, guys, this smells fishy. As someone who came from the army, served in the special forces, grew up a lifetime living in Arab communities where you had to always look behind your back. You kind of start building this Spider-Man instinct where you feel like something is wrong here. And I just felt something just seems to be wrong. Out of nowhere, suddenly they're silencing the good guys, silencing the small guys, the little guys, while amplifying the lunatics in the world. And also falsely blaming. You know what? Falsely blaming. You cannot come. I have a friend who's following, her name is Shayna, and she have been posting very beautiful comments on pictures of families of the kidnapped and telling them, you know, we stand with you, we are with you. These messages were being removed. You are supporting terrorism. We're gonna suspend your account. So it's not, you know, it's not a innocent thing anymore. Something is very bad happening. You know, maybe it's algorithm and you guys need to get your shit together and fix it because you're silencing the small guy. Because what happened is I feel like Instagram is becoming a platform that is a haven for bullies. The majority can bully the minority. Why? Because they have more voices. So let's just bully the minority. And is that what Instagram want to become? Do they want to become the same thing like TikTok? I am so fed up. I don't even look at TikTok. For me, that's like a swamp of anti-Semitism and propaganda against the West. So I stay away from it. Once in a while, I'll put a video there just to piss off everybody. But at least Instagram, I felt, you know, well, please, you know, the people who runs Instagram are Jewish. I kind of expected that they would have a little bit more understanding towards the Jews and towards Arab voices who are standing by the Jews. But to my surprise, again and again, I'm being very disappointed from Instagram.
I mean, the lack of equality when it comes to both sides. Like, I've been called Hitler more times than I could even fucking imagine. And for a Jewish person to be called Hitler is just, now I have thick skin, obviously, and I can't like jump through the phone and, you know, beat up everybody, you know, or so, and what good is that going to do me? But it's like when I leave, like you know, like the throw up emoji, you know, with like the tongue out and like the green. It's like when I leave something like that, you know, under somebody's profile, that'll get flagged. But yet somebody can say you're just as bad as Hitler, and all the Jews should fall into the ocean. That'll stay up for weeks and weeks and weeks. But I'll put something up and boom, like just account suspended, demonetization, and it's like, wow, I got to wait another 30 days again until I can actually, you know, like see the monetization start going up, because most people don't realize that a lot of us, we stopped our normal lives as of October 7th. And now we have to rely on whatever sort of income, you know, we could draw upon. I mean, luckily, you know, I've been a writer for years where I can, you know, I could still make money from all different artists, you know, all over the place. And coincidentally, that's how I started learning the history, is because I was writing for different artists out in the Middle East, and I started learning about their history, started running into a whole bunch of Jewish shit, and I was like, wait, oh shit, this is like Indiana Jones over here. Let me learn a little bit more. But, you know, when it comes to Instagram, it's like when I go to post something and all of a sudden it says, you know, can't post content, try again later. And then I'll try again later, and it'll say the same thing. But everybody's posting like it's all normal. But yet when it comes to me and it comes to my Jewish brothers or the people that are standing up for the Jewish people or Israel, we're running into so many problems and hassles, and the shit that they get away with is unfucking believable. So I mean, I don't even know how to even feel about it anymore. But what are you doing to actually rectify? Are you doing anything?
Yeah, you know, you said something that I feel is very important, because you mentioned that part of the punishment that they gave us for advocating for peace and standing for the Jews in Israel is silencing the monetization, cutting it off, and also you can't go live and etc. Just like you did, I took a long break from my work. I had a great job, a dream job, some people say. And I took a very long break from that because I said, I'm being called to the flag. My voice as an Arab right now became more important than ever. Standing for peace, standing to stand with my Jewish brothers and sisters and promote coexistence.
And we thank you. We thank you very much.
Thank you. You know what? It's literally my friends. It's literally my family. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. I grew up in an Arab village. Then I moved to a Jewish city. All my neighbors and friends were Jews. I ate with them. We went to the beach together. We grew up. I've been in the army, shoulder to shoulder with my Jewish brothers. And until now, I never really looked about, oh, he's Jewish, he's Arab. It didn't bother me. He's Moshe, he's Dani, he's Muhammad, he's Mansoor. You know, it didn't really matter.
And we're all from Abraham.
Exactly. We're all sons of Abraham. So then suddenly, when we started speaking, like you said, we took a long break. And that war ended up getting longer and longer and longer and longer. So in some ways, that monetization system feature was a way of maybe some beacon of light in a very dark, cloudy kind of world that is around us right now, because at least some people can come and say, listen, I support what you're doing. I know you're doing such a huge sacrifice. Let me help you a little bit. So you can pay your rent. So you can, cover for the needs for your family, and et cetera, et cetera. And when Instagram comes and suddenly decides to silence us for actually advocating for peace, and on top of that, overkill, double shot kind of take us down and says, you know what, we're not just going to silence, we're going to make sure you can't get any money. This seems to me like a very sinister strategic way to eliminate these voices. If you look at the other side, a lot of the people there are directly sponsored by governments. Iran, Qatar, are directly sponsoring people in the US to make riots in the student campuses. All these this guy that have armpit hair in his head, this young kid that keeps talking nonsense, know nothing about it, TikTok. I don't know his name, but anyway, he's sponsored. All these.
Talking about Curly Sue?
Maybe.
I mean, that's what I call him. The kid that has the curls almost like a Jew fro, and he's like the Nakba. They expelled 750,000 Arabs.
Yeah, exactly. That guy. Yeah, look at him. You have no clue what he's talking about as a Middle Eastern. But anyway,
man, would I love to smack all of them. And I'm saying it with a smile. So hopefully YouTube doesn't flag this and say, oh, he's promoting violence. I would just love to smack them. Go ahead.
Love to beat them. So anyway, my point is, you have governments like Iran, like Qatar, and other very sinister, very rich, again, supporting their voices. And we have us. I mean, no one is paying us. Israel is not paying us. The Mossad is not paying us. We're literally
Hasbro's not paying us. Yeah, nobody has sent me any money yet at all. And if you do, you could send it now, please.
Yeah. Link is over here, and here. Exactly.
Yeah. Link in bio. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of and I don't want to laugh, but it is such propaganda. It's like the two kids right next to each other. We're from Gaza. We have nothing. Link in bio.
Yeah,
I mean, it gets a little ridiculous, and it's like I wish the opposition would see the shit that we see of that propaganda, because ultimately those algorithms is what's screwing us. It's like not only are we trapped within our own echo chamber, but then once Instagram tries to lay the gavel down, now our echo chamber we're even silenced from them, let alone we can't actually touch the masses because of how they have it played with keywords. And I mean, it's such a form of segregation. It's crazy. But then to silence you from your own followers, that's like something like you said, it's overkill. It's sinister. And it's like, where do we go?
And, it's not that I'm justifying it, but let's say, okay, they kind of choose to say Israelis are biased. The Jews are biased. They're going to obviously side with the Jews. And they might say things that will just make the Jews look good. So let's moderate that. Not that I'm supporting that, but I'm just trying to understand. But then you have an Arab who is coming and saying, guys, we can live together. I'm a living example of it. You silence that? That seems to me like the voice that you should definitely amplify. Obviously, amplify the Jewish voice, but it's an extra overkill coming to even an Arab that is showing you the truth. This can work, guys. No, let's silence him, guys. He's an Arab saying that it can work. Well, that's really dangerous. We don't want that. And if I need to go back a little bit and think, in a detective kind of mindset, it feels to me like Instagram, Meta, are always making some regulations only when they're pushed to the corner, only when their hand is twisted.
Right, more reactive. It's never proactive before it actually happens.
Because the reality is very simple. You have jihadist, genocidal, misogynist organization that is clearly calling for the death of Israel, the Jews, and America. They're not hiding it. Obviously, that's your enemy. There's no way of looking at it. They want to kill you. They want to kill gay people. They want to deprive women. They want to marry young girls. They have so many things that goes against your values as Facebook and Meta. Obviously, they need no brainer. Oh, we can't give these lunatics a voice, ISIS, Hamas. And then you have Israel, who is the best place in the Middle East for Arabs, for gay people, for women. So it's very clear which side they should be on by default, but they're not. They're always trying to kind of silence a little bit Israel, and only when they're getting caught. Oh, we don't want to be anti-Semitic. We don't want to look like Candace Owens or one of these lunatics. So let's put the still moderation, but behind the scenes, let's still try to get them out. If it's just sinister algorithm and just being innocent, I don't think so. I think it's a mix of both. An algorithm kind of program that is letting the majority bully the minority, but also people behind the scenes saying, we're kind of comfortable with that. We're kind of comfortable because we've been so brainwashed by this woke ideology that if you come and say, I'm afraid of suicide bombers, or you're an Islamophobe, these kind of ridiculous things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because the term Islamophobia, when it's used in the correct context. Sometimes anti-Semitism is not. I think we've gotten to a place where a lot of people like to call a lot of things like this a broad spectrum of anti-Semitism, and I really feel like it devalues the word by using it in frameworks where it doesn't really apply. But when it comes to Islamophobia, when you have and please, because you're an Arab gentleman, if I'm saying anything that would deem to sound racist or anything like that, please call me out on it because I'd expect, if somebody was speaking, wanting me to call them out on it. So when you have a religion that does have, certain ideological radical practices or interpretations of that, which are not really as a whole, but a specific segment of people, it is kind of scary. So I feel like Islamophobia is a real word that can't really be, it can't be devalued, and it can't be considered a racist term when that fear is really apparent within the
Mhm.
world. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one thing to say that there are no suicide bombings and stuff like that, but you certainly don't see many people running into any sort of buildings, yelling Baruch Hashem, or Baruch Atah Adonai. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. There have been Jewish terrorists, not many, but I mean the most famous ones, were the group called the Lehi, back in the 40s, which was a pre-Israeli militia that was formed because of the probably like the systematic, colonization that Britain was trying to do on the land of Palestine while the Jews and the Arabs were there, as well as all the Arab fighting, and all the attacks against the Jews. This radical group of 300 people called the Lehi, which, that's the opposition's, talking point. Be like, you guys were a bunch of terrorists too, buddy. There was 300 members of this.
We have members,
So
and they are highly, heavily condemned by the Jewish society, by Israel.
right,
That's a big difference. While terrorists, 9/11, Al Qaeda, Hamas, you had the whole Arab world going around celebrating when 9/11 happened. People forget that. These are your real enemies. So that culture celebrated these terrorist organizations. And just like you mentioned, it was 300. In Islam, they say that, I don't know, between 20 to 30% of world Islam is actually radical Islam. Maybe let's go 15 to 30%.
yeah,
These
I said
numbers,
I did a video where I said, let's say conservatively 10%, and people were like, where are you getting these figures from? I was like, you see that I'm just approximating. I was like, this is,
yeah.
yeah,
But
I'm trying to
anyway,
I'm trying to be optimistic
yeah.
here. 223 million radical, Muslims is pretty scary. So any more than that,
This
I
is a
might just move to
few,
Pluto.
yeah, this is a few hundred millions of radicals. Now, not the problem is not only with these radicals. There's a few hundred millions of radicals that believe October 7 is the best thing, that believe 9/11 was the best thing that can happen in the world, and that more of these things can happen. The bigger problem, or as big, is the other 70 or 80%. Because among them, I would say 90% of these people, the moderate Muslims, will just be voiceless, will be irrelevant. They will not say a word to condemn it. They will not condemn Osama bin Laden. They will not condemn ISIS. They will not condemn Ismail Haniya and Hamas, because in one way they're either support it, just kind of say, I don't want to really, but I'm fine with them doing that. The other way, they're also just afraid. They say, you know what, if I come and speak up, they'll come and kill me. So when you come and you have this understanding of the situation, Islamophobia is a real thing. People, I'm fed up. I'm coming as an arrow from there. People are, it amuses me when I see people who are afraid to come and say that they are afraid of radicals because they might offend someone. Who are you going to offend when you come and say that you're literally afraid that someone's going to come, Allahu Akbar, and blow your restaurant? And you're not making this up. This has been happening so many times. So and here, I studied that academically. I was studying in the university. I studied the history of religion, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and I studied psychology.
Oh, that's
And
awesome. We're gonna have to talk offline. I'm gonna have to pick your brain about 1,000 things. You have just met your best but most annoying friend for the future.
by all means, by all means. I mean, I grew up this whole thing. I lived in it. I know it inside and out. And I'm always having new things that I'm learning. You never kind of cease learning, but I think I know it more than the average European or American. Let's just say it that way. One thing that people don't understand about the Muslim world is that they realized that the victimhood mentality card is one of the greatest tools they have to infiltrate the West, to make the West, to subdue the West, to make the West numb so they can keep doing what they're doing, and to silence the people who try to call them out. Because in the West, in America, and in Europe, people started, idealizing the whole idea that the victim is always right. that the minority is always right, that the rich or the big is always wrong. Hence, the victim needs to be right. And that it's the most important thing is to support the victim. Now, I understand where that comes from, and there's a good way of amplifying that. Maybe when you do it in the right way, because you want to help the victims, you want to help.
Yeah, they're
the
coming from a good place. It's not like but it's just a little misguided.
Exactly. So what happened when the other side, the radicals, they see, oh, that's working. I can go right now and invade Israel, murder hundreds of them, thousands of them, rape, burn, I don't know what, kidnap women, men, children, babies, do terrible things. And then I'm going to say, I'm the victim. See me what's happening. Subscribe to my account. Send me money. I'm a victim. They're trying to genocide me. While they're actually the one who tried to genocide. The only one who tried to genocide someone was Hamas trying to genocide Israel. And the West immediately falls for it. Oh, they're so poor because Israel is stronger. Israel is more successful. Hence, Israel must be the bad guy. That victim mentality became one of the strongest cards of radical Muslims in the world, and it's working. It's so easy to fool an American student. In general, students, I consider them as they're young adults. They just became adults. They're the dumbest version of an adult. That's students. They just, have no idea about life. Really.
I'm clipping that part. Say the dumbest versions of adults.
They're by far the dumbest version of an adult could be. A week ago, he wanted to be Spider-Man, and he was in love with a girl in the prom, and he couldn't dare to come and tell. Now he's an adult, and the thing is, he goes to university and is pumping his head. You are the future of this country. Up until now, everybody were wrong, but thanks to God, you came as our hero. And then that person have no life experience, that have no achievements to his name. Usually, he haven't invented anything. He haven't saved anyone's life. He haven't wrote a book. He comes in, yeah, I'm the one who's going to bring peace to this world. I'm going to solve the problem in the Middle East. And then he comes and you have opinion. And that's so easy to brainwash and infiltrate someone like that, especially in a society where men are becoming men at the age of 30 or 40. Back in the days, older days, people at the age of 14 age of 8 were going with the fathers to clean chimneys. We have that image of that little kid cleaning chimneys, kids walking in the street. They all look so serious.
Do me a favor. Just don't make that motion like this ever again. But you're absolutely right, though.
While I'm talking about kids, oh my God.
Yeah, that's it. Wait, alert. See, I'm getting it again. See?
Block him again. But
you see, the Jews and the supporters, they're supporting Epstein and pedophiles and all of this. Yes. Actually, let me not even say that because that might actually get flagged. But you're absolutely right. The people back in the day had a stronger work ethic because I think that the options of technology has allowed people to just be a little bit lazy and do things differently. You had to actually go out and earn your keep back in the day.
And they matured faster. Kids young men at the age of 17, 18 already went to war, to Normandy to fight. People were forced to work and sometimes even marry at the age of 14, 15, 16. That was back in the days. So people matured faster. They became adults faster. Today, you have people becoming adults. They're still living in the mother's basement and playing Call of Duty until the age of 40. Now, don't get me wrong. I love computer games. That's a cool game. I still play with my friends. I have a group of friends that we love once in a week or something. We just sit down and it's like going fishing.
Just blow some shit up. I get it.
And then you just talk about things. But the thing is, people are not maturing. And then you have these young adults, the dumbest version of adults, and it's so easy to infiltrate them and make them feel special. And then the professors are doing it. Iran is back in Qatar, but they're all funding these organizations that are infiltrating universities. And then they come and they say, hey, they're the victims. They're the good guys. So that propaganda of victim mentality that Islam is using is working wonders on the American people, wonders on the European people. And one day they will wake up and they realize that they've been fooled. They've been handed the wrong hand, and then they're going to say, oh my God, what have we done?
Because you're so knowledgeable about religion and history, and I wanted to ask you kind of like an ideological question, or at least, get some sort of explanation for it. So we've come to know that, this conflict is more about, just land. It's about, the removal of Jews from the land. So it could be, I believe the expression was Yehuda, from the river to the sea, or from water to water. It will be only an Arab land. I'm not sure of what the actual, how the river to the sea, that quote actually started. Right. So this is all about the preservation of Islamic honor from, back in the 7th century when, Islam actually was created and founded. And they had a pretty good run of, conquering, pretty much a lot of the globe. So a lot of what the Palestinian plight is basically trying to get their lick back for these poor refugees that for some reason or another were able to conquer the the last of the Ottoman Empire, the Arabs of Palestine, and Palestinians, however you want to refer to them. And if Islam or the Arabs, are look at the Jews as like a subspecies, second class citizens, and Jews lived as second class citizens under Muslim rule for a while. How can they justify, like, within themselves and their own ideologies, to pretend to be the victim when they're supposed to be the strongest? And so it's like I never understood that. It's like, in one sense, it's like, we are the mighty Arabs and the Jews are the weak, and they can never do anything against us. But yet now it's like they're shifting that ideology to play that victim card, like, no, we're not the strongest. The Jews, they're the strongest. They're and we're weak. So help us. So could you help me justify that? And I don't know if I articulated that well at all, and I apologize. And I'll try to like redo it if you need me to. But yeah, what do you have to say with all that mumble jumble I just said?
No, you didn't say mumbo jumbo. You actually articulated very good, and your question is very clear. And I think it's a very good question that many people kind of misunderstand. First of all, in the eyes of the Muslims, they don't see themselves the victim. They just know that it's a way to make you support them. So they play that card.
So they're playing a role. Got it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Second thing is, in the Muslim world, there's a lot of contradictions that they have towards themselves. If you look from warfare side, at least, since the days of Salah ad-Din, that was the peak, you would say, of the Islamic, golden age, where it was honorable, where science was actually even some way promoted in Islam. And they were very strong military-wise. They were actually better than the Crusaders in many ways, the Byzantium. And since that day until today, they're actually barely ever been really good at war. The West have always been better than them at war. Why? Because West separated religion and faith, and they started using science. And one of the things that Islam even says, Islam have tried to conquer the West twice already by the power of the sword, and we failed because they have better weapons, they have better armies. We're going to conquer them by other means, other jihads. Jihad is an effort by the womb, by infiltrating them, getting the rights, bringing children and taking them down, etc., and etc. Now, the Muslim empire, and that's what people don't understand, the Muslim empire was never defeated. The Persian empire was defeated. It ceased to exist. Defeated by the Islam, actually, and then converted them. The Mongolians, the empire was defeated. So... One second, sorry. Conversation. No, all right, I think my mom was calling me. So, and I'll have to answer her after. So, these empires were defeated. The Nazi Empire was defeated.
The Ottoman Empire technically fell. Like, that's why you hear, even though it kind of was defeated, but the Ottoman Empire didn't have enough money to sustain any additional war, and it didn't have the ability to pay troops to basically occupy the different areas where they were being invaded by Britain and France. So technically they were defeated, but that part in history, it's always the Ottoman Empire fell.
They were not defeated. You see, when Nazi Germany was defeated, not only Germany defeated, the ideology was defeated. And all the other empires, the Japanese, the ideology was defeated. It stopped, or at least, just kind of surviving. The Ottoman Empire was a Muslim ideology. The Muslim ideology was never defeated. The Muslim Empire, it just became too big, too corrupt, too inefficient, and then it collapsed. From one caliphate, it became many Muslim countries: Libya, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran.
Right. And ultimately, when the Young Turks, basically took over, it was like there was never a conclusive defeat of them from the British, but but it was part of a bigger coup, because the British basically were trying to get the Muslims to fight the Muslims, and the French, I think they conscribed like 1 million troops from Algeria, in order to fight against the other Muslims, of the Ottoman Empire. So when you put Muslims against Muslims, and they realize that they're going to build up some animosity, not for each other, but for the people that are making them do that, which are the white colonizers of France, Britain, and Russia, not the Jews.
No, you know your stuff. So the Muslim Empire was never really defeated. It just crumbled, collapsed, and divided small countries. But since then, they've been keeping that dream of the golden age of Islam, to go back to the days where Islam was conquering the world, where the words of the Prophet were respected and his blessing was upon us, and all these things. So a lot of Muslims are still aspiring for that day. ISIS literally tried to bring that up. ISIS kind of went, people think that ISIS is radical. ISIS was very true to the early stage of Islam. They were not different from early stages. Muhammad and his warlords went and butchered, killed, raped, married young girls. There's a story that people are unaware of it. There's a story that when Muhammad came back to one of the Jewish tribes that rejected him, and they conquered them, and they took all the men and they started beheading them and throwing their heads into the pit and made the women and daughters and children to watch that. And then while he was sitting there, he asked, one of his lords, there's this girl that I like, bring her to my tent. And even one of his warlords came and told him, listen, Nabi, prophet, you honored man, I understand that, we need to punish our enemies, but this is the daughter of the Jewish leader of this tribe. And she just watched her father being beheaded. And now you want to take her and, have sex with her. And then Muhammad said, oh, that actually sounds a little bit kind of inappropriate. So he went to the desert, came back and said, the angel of Allah just came and told me that it's okay to do that to the Jews and the Christians. Made up this rule to support. So that sounds like ISIS. 1-to-1 ISIS. So even his warlords were coming after a while saying like, that's a bit too much, So Islam, if they want to keep going back to their golden age, that golden age is very bad for the West. That golden age means trouble and bad
Sounds
news.
like it.
Yeah, bad news to anyone who's not Muslim. And I tell you what, bad news even to the Muslims, because the biggest victims of Islamic radicalism or Islamic religion are Muslims themselves. That's why it was so easy to turn the Muslims to fight each other. They've been fighting each other for ages. They actually killed each other more than anyone else have killed them.
Yeah,
But no one
I think it was right before the start of World War I. I believe that it was 10% of all Arab men that were fighting within the first 2 years of war. And that's a lot. We're talking about maybe out of 15 million people, 10%, of the male population was completely decimated. And I use the word decimated because there was a military order called decimation, by the French, where basically for insubordination or for any sort of anything that went against their army's traditions, they would kill the 10th person of each regiment. So it was a truly barbaric practice, and it was to keep everybody in line, and it was ruling with an iron fist. So most of the deaths prior to the Jews even coming into the land were at the hands of other people. And so it's like when people don't really know the history like I do. I'm just a stupid nerd, and I just happen to learn all of this shit. And then when you realize it, and you could tie one thing to another, and this is why they did this, and this is why they did that. And Arafat was following in the footsteps of the FLN, where they were terrorizing them and forcing the French to get out of Algeria. So let's terrorize the Jews and force them to get out of here. And they tried the same approach in Jordan, but King Abdullah wasn't having it, and he said, no, we're going to banish everybody. So it's a really, really fucked up world we live in. So yeah, I know we started at Instagram, but so let me bring it back to it real fast. What are you trying to do to unsuspend your account, and what can we kind of do to prepare for this not to happen to any of us?
So yes, social media have become a scary place where you feel like in a second you can just be taken off the platform. Your voice will not reach, especially if you're someone trying to educate people. So one of the things that I did is I made a video. I said, we the Druze, we stand our ground. And if someone comes to us, we fight back. And I made a video straight away. Guys, you're trying to silence me. I'm a peace-loving man, and you're trying to silence the peace-loving people, me and my family, etc. You are the hypocrites. And I made a video on Instagram where I just clearly say it. But I also started investing more of my time in YouTube. And I even told my followers, you know what, go at least in YouTube, to my experience so far, they're not trying to silence you. And I even started actually working more on X, on former Twitter, at least there. I mean, I'm new there.
Oh yeah, there's a cesspool. You could say whatever the fuck you want. You could say kill them all, bomb everybody. Twitter is a fucking cesspool. Like sometimes I just go on there just to see how crazy the entire world actually is, and within 30 seconds, it's like, all right, that's enough for me. I don't need to see anymore.
All right, well, I didn't know that, but what I said is I'm gonna create my backup accounts there. Because here's the thing, I'm a father. I have a child who's gonna walk this earth, and my responsibility as a father is to prepare him to become the adult that will be on this earth, and also to try to leave a better world behind me for my kid. So I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep talking about, because I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about family values, I'm talking about parenting, I'm talking about peace, I'm talking about coexistence, and I'm basing it on my real life experience, coming from the Middle East, living among Jews, Christians, and Arabs, seeing the beautiful side and the ugly side of all these societies. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of problems among the Jews in Israel. There's a lot of problems in Israel. There's a lot of problems in America. There's a lot of problems anywhere. But
Yeah,
there's more
listen, there's
beauty.
assholes there's assholes in every single group of people. The Jews, we might be the king of assholes because sometimes, we're even assholes to each other. So it's like we have to get into, some sort of realm where we can have some sort of coexistence. And I can only imagine from your point of view, as being it's not like I wouldn't call you a loud spoken, but it's like a clear spoken, because it's like you don't scream, you don't yell, you hit them with a lot of facts, and you have a delivery in your words that is very hypnotizing. It's like you're forced to listen to the entire thing, but not in a bad way. It's like you want to hear what's the next thing you have to say, because I think your perspective is very, very unique. So I can only imagine the backlash that you must have be getting from the radical bunches, like, how could you be doing this? So I mean, so what's your safety situation like, especially in Germany, where it looks like it's getting fucking crazy over there?
Yeah, well, in Europe it's getting crazy. And Germany is probably still the least crazy in Europe, because Germans kind of still have that, they're still allergic to anything that is fascist or Nazi. So, and radical Islam and Nazism, they look alike. They're just different sides of the same face. So in Germany, it's growing. I tell you what, Israel is the safest place for anyone who's not an anti-Semite. It is. I feel much safer in Israel because I know that's still there. People can see clearly what is right, what is wrong, and the government will defend you. Hopefully, I mean, sometimes they kind of mess it up, but in general, it's safer. Here in Europe, I knew that I'm going to be putting myself in the line. I knew that I'm going to had to count on myself. But I also knew that I'm not going to look my kid in the eyes when he's 17, 18. He's going to ask me, Father, what did you do when they started persecuting the Jews, justifying raping other women? And I'm going to say, I stood my ground and I stood with my brothers and sisters. But to your question, I'm very cautious. See behind me the bike?
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I'm not keeping the bike outside is because there is Syrian immigrants here. There's a lot of Middle Eastern immigrants here. And I know inside, I know some of the immigrants that came out of there and some that are not, and they tell me, listen, there's people here that are they're just terrorists. They have really dark thoughts. So I don't want anyone to leave a trap on my bike. I look behind my eyes, I lock the door. Sometimes when I post a video, I'll post it from a different location. I'll put a different location just to try to
I do the same thing. I do the same exact fucking thing. It's like,
confused.
no, you ain't gonna catch me over here. Nope.
Yeah. One time I actually came and said, here I am coming out of my house, and I made like a story, but I was actually just by a police station.
Oh, okay.
In another city. And I said, if some idiot is gonna come and try to get me, he's gonna come, Allahu Akbar, there's gonna be a police station. Like, what the heck, So
yeah, let me geotag this video while I'm sitting in the police parking lot. Come and get me. I'm all alone.
Eating a smoothie. Exactly. Yeah. Eating muesli. So yeah, I mean, it's a price. It's a price. I had people in Germany come and tell me, hey, don't talk to your kid in Hebrew. You know how wow. My kid, he doesn't know any other word to call me than Abba. He grew up all his life. He actually thinks that Abba is a German word. He goes like in Germany, hey, do you see my Abba? And they're like, huh? And people told me, hey, listen, maybe tell him to not say Abba anymore. And there were people that actually care about me. But we came to the reality that it's not safe anymore to even speak Hebrew in Germany. Then where are we, guys? What's going on? I tell you even more.
We're in a crazy world.
I have a Jewish friend of mine here in Germany that told me if I can go with his Jewish friend, because he want to go to this pro-Palestine demonstration that is going, they call it the peace demonstration. And if you can go with him, yeah.
Wait, peace demonstration? That's, go ahead.
Wait until you hear what happened at peace demonstration. So he said he's worried that, he doesn't speak Arabic, and if you can go, I said, yeah, I'll go with him. And then I asked him, why are you doing this? And he said, listen, my ancestors, they were in Germany, and most of them did not leave in time because they kept thinking it's going to get better. It's not going to get worse. I don't want to do the same mistake. I want to go to these demonstrations, and I'm not going to see what the pro-Palestinians are saying because I know what they're saying. I want to see what the Germans, how are they reacting? Because I want to know if I need to go back home, pack my suitcases, and take my family out of Germany before the same thing will happen to us like happened to our ancestors. So we went there, and to my shock, it was, first of all, the most organized demonstration. Germans, they know how to make things organized. The most organized demonstration, vegan-friendly, clean, cleaning everything around. It was, from organization-wise, I'll give them 10 out of 10. They were very organized. But then what happened is they started chanting things in German that were all about socialism, communism, anti-genocide, all these slogan words that they like to say. But then they started singing in Arabic. after a while. And the Germans started repeating after them in Arabic, because they already got them repeating things that were saying in German. And in Arabic, they were saying from the river to the sea, which they were repeating, which is illegal to say in Germany, all the way to the Roh Biddam Nafdiki Palestine, which was a clear call for terrorism. By spirit and blood, we will free you, Palestine. It was a clear call for terrorism in the Intifada to go and kill the Jews. And then they were saying stuff like, down with Israel. And the Germans were singing after them, down with Israel. And at that point, I looked at my friends and was like, wow, we are living in a world that, again, in the streets of Germany, you have people who believe that they're the good guys shouting down with Israel, students and queers for Palestine, right, left, and center there. And then they were saying stuff like, Intifada revolution, we need to bring the Intifada to Germany. Intifada is the solution. And the Germans were chanting, Intifada is the solution.
They don't even know what the fuck Intifada means. Like,
no.
You ever hear the expression, with every bomb that Israel drops, it births the next generation of terrorists from the Palestinians? Well, there was 130 suicide bombings from 2000 to 2005 in the second Intifada. And that was the actual reason that blockade that everyone likes to say, end the blockade, and it's an open-air prison. That blockade was actually put up. One, it's a border. It's not a blockade. It's a border, okay? Nations have borders. I mean, you're lucky that I'm saying nations, with a plural, so almost like calling Palestine a nation and then needs a border, separate Israel. But the second Intifada brought 130 separate suicide bombings to Israel. And if people understood the amount of carnage and death and destruction that second Intifada caused, it radicalized a shitload of Israelis. People that, after years and years and years of trying to say, like, we're going to have peace, we should coexist, it gets to, these motherfuckers tried to kill me, fuck that, fuck them, and I'm going to teach my kids, don't pay attention to them, fuck them. Even though, that's not really the way to be, but it's like, when I hear people chanting Intifada, there is only one solution, Intifada revolution. It's like, do you have any idea what you're fucking calling for? Like, you might as well just be saying, like, another Holocaust, which I do hear them saying that, but it's like, it's asinine. And it's just, I feel like we're living in an alternate universe. It's crazy.
To an Arab that grew up in Israel, that actually lived through the Intifada when it started and on, it was I was shivering when I heard the West calling for Intifada. I was shocked beyond, recognition. I was just, what is going on? I remember before the Intifada started, how we used to go to Arab villages freely with my father, with my mother, to Ramallah, to Gaza, and eat there. And there was no borders. There was no checkpoints. You would literally drive, like in Europe, just drive. And then,
I heard Gaza had one of the greatest, most beautiful beaches in the entire universe.
They have an amazing, beautiful beach. So we'll just, call the restaurant that you open. Let's go to Gaza and eat some fish. Let's go to Ramallah and get some knafe and baklava because they have good ones. Let's go together in the market, So, and they will come to Israel. So everything was fine. Then the Intifada started. Before anyone was dropping bombs. The Intifada, these suicide bombers didn't start because of dropping bombs. They started because they wanted to genocide the Jews. And then they were going and they were blowing themselves. And then mostly men. So Israel, after a while, I remember I was terrified as a teenager. We were getting to a point where every week you'd have like 2 suicide bombings. And then think like, I'm afraid of going in buses. I'm afraid of going to Tel Aviv, to Jerusalem, because they're just, killing people every week. So Israel couldn't continue like that. They will go to kindergartens and blow kindergartens. They will go to weddings and just blow and literally erase a whole family. The whole family was erased in a suicide bombing in a wedding. So, Israel was starting to say, we have to do something. So then they started doing these checkpoints. We're going to check these men because these men are coming and blowing themselves. But what happened is they start sending women, pregnant women, and I don't know what, and these women will come looking like pregnant, and they will come, and then the soldier will come to help, and Allahu Akbar, blow themselves. Israel started checking women and pregnant women. And then they start sending babies, little kids. I've seen that with my own eyes in the army. I've had to deal with that where a kid was wearing a backpack, and there was a bomb, and he didn't even know it was a bomb, and they wanted to detonate it from far away. But Israel has the technology to, cover all of cellular covers in that area and block that signal from coming. And then they send a robot to go and take that backpack from that kid.
Control explosion.
And to control explosion. And then they brought the kid and gave him social workers and etc. to take care of that kid. Was shivering and crying. What kind of a monster? That's a monster we're fighting. They were sending their own children or others' children to blow them up. But you know what the media coverage? The media focused on the image with the robot that have a shotgun and a flashlight because he needs to come and be able to see where the bomb is, sometimes shoot it. And was showing that Israel is using robots to kill Palestinian kids. So I don't know what. That's how delusional. We Israelis, Arabs and Jews, we saw that. We knew that this was a lie. A student in the US would believe that. So the intifada, and then after that, we started checking kids, women, children. And then they just said, let's build a wall. This is getting too much. Let's build a wall so we can stop these savages from coming and trying to genocide us. So people misunderstood this whole concept of the Israeli wall in order to defend itself, the whole concept of intifada. And now, knowing that, seeing Canadians and Americans going in the street and so on, the only solution is to bring the intifada. I mean, that's like seeing, just like you said, that's like hearing people going to, the only solution is to bring Heil Hitler back.
Right.
It's so crazy.
I mean, I could only hope and pray that the future is a brighter place, even though I know it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And that's why I really value and appreciate voices like you that, you know, are on the right side of history and really try your damnedest to, you know, get the right message out there. And that's why, I mean, I've been following you for a long time. And when, you know, when I had the opportunity to ask you to be on and you said yes, and like I literally was like, yes. I was like, because it's like when I get the chance to, it's not even like, it's not to even promote myself, because it's like, I mean, I have a pretty decent following, and I could care less about me getting more popular for money purposes. I'd like to get more popular so I could reach more people, because the shit that I have in my brain, you need to know about. And that's how I felt about you when I heard you speak. I was like, so eloquent. I was like, you offer such a good perspective, you know, from the Arab side as well as the humane side. You're able to convey that in a way that makes people want to listen. And it's very you're very approachable, you know, and a lot of people, you know, find that to be a great quality. And I don't really get that with any of the people on the opposing side. Every time I've tried to engage with them, it's a shit show. And it's like, okay, why am I going to even invite you on my platform to what? For us to just like argue and do what? You're going to tell me your bullshit side of history. I'm going to spend the entire time debunking every single thing that you say. And then when I actually give you the truth, you're going to say that's Israeli propaganda, you know? So I don't even know what to do.
You know, all these shit talkers from the other side, these poop talkers, they run away. They're literally afraid to talk to me. I've seen a few of them that say, we're going to talk to anyone. Then I can say, let's talk together. Radio silence.
Listen, if you ever want to bring on, like, if you ever want to tag team and, you know, go against two individuals, I'm literally an encyclopedia of the conflict, starting from 1880 till present day, with all the historical references, all the ideological quotes, all of the justifications, and it's insane. It's insane. If anyone ever challenges you and they say, yeah, me and my guy against you, and they're like, all right, I'm calling JopauL and we are going to wreck the shit out of them. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Exactly. We're going to fucking take control of them. I know, right? Mansoor, why don't you tell everyone what your YouTube page is, where they can find you? And I really do appreciate you taking the time, you know, to speak with me today. It's been an absolute blessing to be able to finally, you know, speak face to face with you and, you know, get to learn your story as well as share it with the rest of the world. So tell everyone where they can find you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate it again. My YouTube channel is Mr. Sahbak. It's a YouTube that I started years ago when I didn't even know that YouTube existed. I forgot about it. And now I kind of brought it back. So that's the name, or Mansoor Ashkar. So you can find my name there. I am mostly getting active there right now because I found that I can make longer videos, more educational, and I'm working on starting my own podcast show. That is going to be professional, legitimate podcast where I can invite interesting guests.
Which I said, is this ain't professional?
What is that? No, this is very professional.
Yeah, I said, what do you mean? This ain't professional?
You're more professional than me.
You gotta buy me a microphone.
No, you're more professional than me. Like, if you would see what I'm working with. I'm working with a broken phone that my kid dropped in Italy, my mics and etc., the lighting. So I want to be able to like bring it to a very good level that I can invite guests. I already have very interesting people that I want to talk to, from the world of the special forces all the way to the world of the Secret Service, and Syrians, Lebanese, former people who got kidnapped by Islam, etc. So I have very good, interesting things to bring. So that's going to be my channel, and I would, more than happy if people can come and help that grow. Because just like you, I feel like our voice is important. Our voice hopefully can reach more people. And like I told you before, people are kind of afraid to confront me when it comes to these arguments, because not only that I'm a real Arab from the Middle East, I'm also someone who studied that in depth and grew up inside of it and out. So a lot of these like Owens, I don't know this guy's name, some Owens, a British guy. I mean, he would not dare. Others would not dare, because you're just going to crush them. You just want to walk through them. They have no argument, really. They just can talk really fast. So they don't know what they're talking about.
I mean, they know all the propaganda talking points, and it's one thing if you know the propaganda talking points, but if you know how to deflect against them, it's like every single thing that they would try to say, I have 10 counters for. Like from Dear Yassin to the Hannibal Directive. You want to go all the way back in time? I'll give you every justification and rationale for why this is wrong and this is right. There is so much that I want to talk to you about. We have to do a second one, or I'm going to have to come on your podcast, and because like I didn't even get into the ideological motivations of the early Arabs of Palestine with with Dr. Khalidi or Rashid Rida or or Hajj Amin Al Husseini or anyone. So we didn't talk about nothing so far.
You
Instagram,
are
give my boy back his page, okay? Because he's got a voice and we need to do it. So I'd like to leave you with a quote that I apply to my life. I'd like you to apply to yours, and everybody listening, I would like you guys to truly apply this quote to your life, because we are all just here for a small cup of coffee. I'm just trying to drink it while it's still hot. I'm your boy. I am JopauL. We were just chopping it up with Mansoor Ashkar. Please follow him on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and watch out for his podcast that is going to be coming soon. And Instagram, stop silencing my boy. Peace and love. We love you.
Peace and love. Peace and love.